Thank you for watching NTD Business. Coming up tonight, Twitter CEO Elon Musk releases the so-called Twitter files. We take a look at the workings behind the censorship of the Hunter Biden laptop story. China's ongoing COVID lockdowns are pushing away Apple. It's planning to move more production out of the country. And if your workplace is forcing woke ideologies on you, we have some ways that you can protect yourself. That and much more coming up on NTD Business. Great to have you with us. Don Ma here. Twitter CEO Elon Musk and journalist Matt Taibbi have unveiled the so-called Twitter files. Documents show the workings behind Twitter executives suppressing the New York Post Hunter Biden laptop story, which happened in the early weeks leading up to the 2020 presidential election. NTD's Daniel Monahan has the story.
On October 14, 2020, the New York Post published the Biden secret email story. According to the emails, Hunter Biden introduced his father, vice president at the time, to a top executive at a Ukrainian energy firm. Less than a year later, Biden allegedly pressured government officials in Ukraine to fire a prosecutor who was investigating that company. The meeting is mentioned in a thank you message reportedly sent by Burisma Energy firm board advisor Vadim Pozharsky to Hunter Biden. This about a year after Hunter joined the Burisma board at a salary of up to $50,000 a month. Other material from the laptop includes a video that appears to show Hunter smoking crack cocaine and sexually explicit images and video. Taibbi published the so-called Twitter files in a thread on his Twitter account. The tweets contained communications among Twitter employees on how to excuse their decision to censor the Hunter Biden report. One email dated October 24, 2020 appears to show a Twitter executive sharing a list of 5 tweets allegedly identified by people from the Biden campaign. Taibbi wrote, by 2020, requests from connected parties to delete tweets were routine. One executive would write to another, more to review from the Biden team. The reply would come back, handled. Internet entrepreneur Kim.com asked Elon Musk about the matter in a live Twitter Space chat.
One file that was released, it was even called the Biden team contacting Twitter. I mean, that is election interference, isn't it?
If Twitter is doing one team's bidding before an election, shutting down dissenting voices on a pivotal election, that is the very definition of election interference.
To suppress the Hunter Biden report, Twitter executives marked it as unsafe, limiting its spread, and blocked it from being directly shared via the platform's direct message function. Taibbi noted that such extreme restrictions were reserved for content such as child pornography. Messages between Twitter executives show some confusion, with one executive writing, quote, "I'm struggling to understand the policy basis for marking this as unsafe."
Frankly, Twitter was acting like an arm of the Democratic National Committee. It was absurd.
For sharing the Biden laptop report, then White House Press Secretary Kayleigh McEnany was locked out of her account. Musk commented on the media's response to the Twitter files.
Well, they're trying to turn it into a nothing burger because they were complicit in deceiving the American public.
Representative James Comer says the Twitter staff involved will face questioning. Here's Comer on Fox News.
Every employee at Twitter who was involved in suppressing the Hunter Biden laptop story will have an opportunity to come before Congress and explain their actions to the American people.
Musk wrote he had also seen a lot of concerning tweets about the recent Brazil election. He wrote, if those tweets are accurate, it's possible that Twitter personnel gave preference to left-wing candidates. Meanwhile, Donald Trump reacted to the Twitter files, saying, a massive fraud of this type and magnitude allows for the termination of all rules, regulations, and articles, even those found in the Constitution. Musk said a second episode of the Twitter files would be released soon. Daniel Monahan, NTD News.
In the interview on Twitter over the weekend, Elon Musk, who calls himself a free speech absolutist, he said what's happening with the censorship is, quote, an export of the moral framework of San Francisco to Earth. And now with the Twitter files release, he hopes to clean the slate and make Twitter a place where people can get unfiltered truth. And Disney has announced a closing date for the iconic Splash Mountain ride. It's part of a rewrap after elements of the attraction were criticized for supposedly being racist. Splash Mountain has been a staple at several Disney theme parks for decades. The one at Walt Disney World in Florida will close in January 2023, according to Disney Parks blog. Disney has yet to announce the date to close another ride in California. The Splash Mountain ride draws on the film Song of the South, a controversial film with a storyline that's been accused of being racist. Following the death of George Floyd in 2020, Disney said it'll retheme the attraction with a more progressive framework. Disney CEO Bob Iger has said before that he felt the Song of the South was not appropriate in today's role. He recently returned to lead the company after Disney posted disappointing sales. A job services company is taking the initiative to help protect employees from woke policies in the workplace. The company, Red Balloon, has released an Employee Bill of Rights and Responsibilities. This is a free legal resource that provides American workers and companies with a clear understanding of employee rights when dealing with woke discrimination in the workplace. The founder and CEO of Red Balloon says that across the country, thousands of conservative Americans have reported work discrimination because of their privately held beliefs. He said that some have even lost their jobs due to pressure from activist colleagues. He said that non-woke employees should make clear that they cannot be forced to go through training or workplace celebrations that violate their personal consciences. So this is how Red Balloon works. The companies requesting access to Red Balloon's job board are encouraged to take a pledge to not discriminate against employees over their private opinions, violate their constitutional rights, or invade their medical privacy. As of late October, at least 2,100 employees had signed the anti-woke pledge to protect their workers from retaliation. And earlier, I had the pleasure of speaking to the CEO of Red Balloon. Here he is. Great to have you on the show, Andrew. Now, the first thing I like to ask you is, what is this Employee Bill of Rights and what is its purpose?
Yeah, thanks so much, Don. I really appreciate it. So the Employee Bill of Rights is a tool. We hope it's a tool that a lot of Americans will use to understand what their rights are at work. This wokeness in the workplace is sapping the joy out of so many employees and really destroying the American workplace today. And so if you know where you can stand up at work, where you can't stand up at work, and where you're going to get in a lawsuit or where you're not going to get in a lawsuit, then you're going to have the freedom to be able to know where you can push back in the workplace. It is 5 rights and 5 responsibilities that every employee should know what their rights are. And that way, when you're asked to go to DEI training or CRT training, or you're asked about a vaccine mandate, you know how to push back, you know the right way to push back, where we should stand our ground, and where we just need to, stand up for our rights.